Marjorie Taylor Greene can't seem to find a win as she continues to fight a fight that everyone else has moved on from.
Countless posts have spread misinformation, encouraged parents to refuse routine vaccinations for their children, which you just heard, by the way, and even compared our pandemic efforts responses to the Holocaust. I want to just actually read something which is in the public record. I'm not saying anything that's not in the public record. That a member of this committee actually said, the same person that is actually attacking vaccines, said that vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. I want to read that again. Vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. That is the level of insanity and attacks that we are having here as we actually debate the lives saved around vaccinations. Now, this same member has also held shadow public hearings promoting ideas that COVID is a bioweapon to target people of specific races and that vaccines, and I quote, cause turbo cancers. I want to read you this quote, and it's again in the public record at a hearing. Have the COVID vaccines resulted in an increase in cancers, and are turbo cancers real? Now, Mr. Chairman, this is, in my opinion, just insanity. We know that's not the case. Dr. Marks, can you clarify once again for the American people, do the COVID vaccines cause turbo cancers?
I'm a oncologist that's board certified. I don't know what a turbo cancer is.
She's still talking about mask and vaccine mandates 4 years after the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the conversation isn't going well for her.
We have not detected any increase in cancers with the COVID-19 vaccines.
Thank you, and I thank you for correcting the record.
May I just add something here? I do need to apologize to the 1,000 or so parents of children who are under 4 years of age who have died of COVID-19 who were unvaccinated because there were deaths and are continuing to be deaths in children, and that is the reason why they need to get vaccinated. Thank you.
And just a reminder, COVID-19 is still a thing. It's not as acute as it was a few years ago, but it's still an ongoing endemic struggle. What largely contributed to getting control over the spread of the virus was the vaccine. Up until the time when the vaccine became available, deaths attributed to the COVID-19 virus were relatively equal across the political aisle. However, once the vaccine was made more widely available, more Republicans were killed by the virus than Democrats.
They found that the excess death rates, those deaths above the expected rates, for Republicans in Florida and in Ohio during the pandemic, that rate was 76% higher than Democrats in the same states. 76% higher. And looking at their graph, you can see the gap between Republican excess deaths and Democratic excess deaths. You can see that gap widen in May of 2021, by which time vaccines were readily available. That gap has stayed present through to 2022, meaning that Republicans in those states are not vaccinating and that at least some of those Republicans are dying.
Many of those deaths were believed to have been preventable, but rhetoric from Republican leadership regarding the virus and the vaccine likely prevented many Republican voters from taking reasonable precautions. Democratic Representative Robert Garcia of California called out his Republican colleague over vaccine misinformation that she peddled during the pandemic. He cited a tweet from Marjorie Taylor Greene where she said, quote, "Vaccinated employees get a vaccination logo, just like the Nazis forced Jewish people to wear a gold star. Vaccine passports and mask mandates create discrimination against unvaxxed people who trust their immune systems to a virus that is 99% survivable." He also mentioned something that she said just last month at a shadow hearing, quote, "Let's talk about something that people have a lot of fear about, and that's cancer. Have the COVID vaccines resulted in an increase in cancers, and are turbo cancers real?" She loves to talk about fear because fear drives mobs, and fearful mobs are reliable voters. Representative Garcia then addressed an actual doctor, Dr. Peter Marks. Dr. Marks is an MD, PhD, and he's the director of the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research at the FDA. Dr. Marks stated that he was a, quote, "hematologist oncology ecologist that's board certified." He doesn't know what a turbo cancer is, and he said that there has not been any known increase in cancer with the COVID vaccine. Then he went out of his way to acknowledge the deaths of unvaccinated children specifically. Apparently, the party that so wants to protect the children won't even do the bare minimum to protect them from a preventable disease. All of this happened while MTG was in the room listening on. Additionally, MTG suffered another loss, this time one that might cost her some money. During the height of the pandemic, Nancy Pelosi implemented a mask mandate at the Capitol. The fine for defying the mask mandate was $500 per incident, and MTG racked up an impressive $100,000 fine. I guess she thought she would never have to pay it and that she would be able to get it all dropped because she and a few of her Republican colleagues took the matter to court.
You may remember Congresswoman Greene and some of her MAGA colleagues flouted the rules over and over and over again, even while sheltering in place during the January 6th insurrection, by the way, as thousands of people died of COVID every day across the country. Marjorie Taylor Greene boasted about her total disregard for others' health and safety.
I refuse to wear a mask. And Chris, I have to tell you something else. I'm not vaccinated. And I will be standing strong, standing up for the people across this country that refuse to get vaccinated.
They lost their case, and so they tried to then take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court just dismissed the case with not a single judge even considering taking it on. This is all just further evidence of what we've talked about here before, that the Republicans have absolutely nothing new to say, no policy ideas, no party identity or agenda apart from being outraged all the time about all of the wrong things. It's easy for MTG to be outraged about something that happened years ago because as a MAGA politician, it's enough to rile up her base even though it's not a thing that's directly affecting them right now. MAGA Republicans, we know, love to feel angry and fearful of things that aren't threatening to them. Maybe they think that they're being proactive against things they perceive to be threats to their freedom. Maybe they think it's better to take an offensive position rather than a defensive one. But really, it's just that they're ignorant, and ignorant leads to fear of that which one is ignorant of. It's a classic case, fear of the unknown. And I'm not even blaming them for their ignorance. I'm not expecting any or all of them to be oncologists or experts on infectious diseases. But a sign of intelligence and thoughtfulness is understanding that you don't understand everything. It's understanding that a society is full of all kinds of diverse groups of people because diversity is essential for a society to function. We can't all be doctors or mechanics or grocers or attorneys or business owners. We need some people to be some of those things, but we also need other people to be other things. But I wouldn't go to a mechanic if I needed help with my taxes, and I certainly wouldn't go to Marjorie Taylor Greene if I wanted advice on vaccines. Furthermore, when Republicans decide to fearmonger over things like cancer, specifically as it pertains to the vaccine, all they're doing is distracting their base from issues that actually do affect them, issues that the Republican Party isn't trying to do anything about. Maybe there are things in this world that are causing cancer, like fossil fuel pollutants in the air or forever chemicals in the water, but Republicans aren't trying to do anything about those. Maybe there are credible threats to our society and to our health and to our economy, but Republicans aren't trying to do anything about those. In fact, they don't even want their base knowing about those things or talking about them. That's why whenever the Democrats talk about those things, or at least Democratic voters, Republicans disparage the message as extreme, and they disparage the messengers as ungrateful and unpatriotic. Meanwhile, Republicans are busy spending tax dollars trying to impeach a president who hasn't done anything impeachable. They're running re-election campaigns on talking points that are nearly a decade old. They are taking their cues from Russia, and half of them are busy defending themselves in court over one thing or another. The party is in shambles. The Democrats are not perfect. They need work. They need help, a lot of it, but the Republicans should be embarrassed. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my podcast, Modern Context. Thanks.